What's up, guys? This is former UFC fighter Elliot Marshall, and you are listening to The Blueprint. I believe that there's a blueprint of how the most successful people structure their lives. They don't all do it the same. They don't all do the same things. And on this podcast, you're going to hear inspirations, motivations, and stories about how they go through their life. These stories will give you clues and tricks of exactly how you can discover your passion, find your power, and then go give your purpose to the world. Thank you so much for listening. Let's jump into this week's episode. What's up, everyone? Sorry for the little delay in the last couple podcasts. Had some things going on, but we are back, and I am back with a great guest, Serra-Longo, one of the all-time greats of MMA coaches. He has, as you will hear, had a champion in his 40s, in his 50s, and now in his 60s, he has trained a champion. There ain't much more to say about the dude. He is an authentic Long Island East Coast man. So let's do it. Serra-Longo, come on. Serra-Longo, what's up, man?
Nothing much, man. Happy to finally talk to you. I see you around every so often, but we never shoot the shit.
We're going to start with an MMA topic. I actually posted about it today, and I want your opinion. Conor McGregor going out of the USADA pool to be able to do steroids to heal himself, and now come back into the pool and get clean. What do you think about this, Ray?
Well, look. First of all, you got to admire him for his honesty, but it's hard to cover up the jacked look he's got. But the funny part is he references my good friend Chris Weidman, how he's still struggling because he didn't do that. So he makes a comparison. I got to tell you, man, that's a tricky one, right? Because I think what you're saying is that because of the injury, he's going to get the benefits of healing plus the strength aspect. That's right. The key. But, when a guy gets injured like that, if there's going to be a case for doing it, now, if that's the case, I think I'd make him wait maybe a year before he comes back. After, you got to pick a time, maybe try to do it at the beginning. But obviously, he's healthy enough to pump some fucking iron because he looks jacked. So I don't know. Crazy.
Look, this is my thing. Some of the comments that I'm getting, Ray, are, well, everyone used to do them. And I agree. There was a steroid era of our sport, where if you wanted to compete, you had to probably be doing something, So, so we're not going to take that era. But now USADA has come in, right? And you can't circumvent USADA. You shouldn't be allowed to circumvent USADA because you're injured, you're sick, whatever, right? I just don't think it's fair to the guys competing at that division. It's going to change him forever.
Right. But I'm not defending this. I'm just being a devil's advocate,
Sure.
But, if the doctors are telling them we could get you healed, but this is what we have to do, then it's up to USADA to say, well, if you do that, then you're not fighting anymore. I mean, somebody's got to come in and give a definitive answer, right? So we're not wishy-washy on what's going on, but it's very interesting.
Look, this is the father time issue, though, a little bit, right? Over time, our bodies break down.
Without a doubt.
You mentioned your fighter, Chris Weidman, right? He's been in the game forever. Former champ, beat Anderson twice, right? And look, he can't be the same. He can't physically perform at the level that he was performing at in his prime, at his peak. Father time's the winner. So it never hasn't been. So if Conor or any fighter has done damage to their body, this is the unfairness of sports. Sports ain't fair. Fighting ain't fair. It's just not fair.
Yeah. Now, look, I think it's up to USADA because, look, he did suffer a bad injury, an injury that maybe he can't come back from. So that's bad enough. So
exactly. Maybe he can't come back.
Look, he's couching it as a, get better quicker type of thing. But You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
All right.
But look, he's got Father Time going against him too. So
yes, he does.
I'm going to tell you something, Elliot. But the reality of it is, he's not coming back and beating anybody at a top level. So it doesn't matter. Honestly, I'm going to tell you, from a coaching standpoint, it doesn't matter what he's doing. You know, and then when he comes off it psychologically, what's that going to do to him? You know what I mean? So there's a lot going into that. But I don't think he's the same guy before the accident. Now he's got an accident. He's out for another year and a half, whatever it is. I don't think there's anything he could do to help.
I agree with you. Look, I don't know. I don't know if you get put on this list enough. I'm going to put you on this list, Ray, of all-time great MMA coaches. When we talk about it, you know, because you have 3 champions, right? You have 3 world champions in 3 different eras. First, you've got Matt Serra, right? And I don't even care what anybody says. Like, yeah, sure, he got lucky beating GSP. Fine, fuck it, call it luck. Don't care.
Yeah, call whatever you want.
Call whatever you want. Guess what? He has a belt. I don't. You know, and nobody else does either. He had to show up, do that fight, and knock GSP out. Right? He had to throw that punch. So that's your first era. Then you have Weidman, and now you have Aljo. So when we're talking about true great coaches of all time, you have to be on this list. I just want to say that first and foremost.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You know, and you've done it very quietly. You never formed a super gym, right?
Right. That's the impressive part.
Yeah, that's the impressive part. You've never formed a super gym. You've just kind of stayed really true to who you are, this East Coast Long Island type guy. How did you do it? How did you do it, Ray?
I'm going to say a lot of love.
Okay. Tell me what that.
Look, you know what it is? Like, look, it's like when you're getting a guy ready. The guy, when he thinks he's ready, and then when the coach thinks he's ready, and they both agree on when they're ready, that's the time to go, right? So I think by not having a lot of guys, I was able to really focus in on a lot. You got to remember, with these guys, we're going to each other's baptismals, the kids get together, we're on holidays together, we hang out together. And I think when you form a culture like that in the gym, they want to win for everybody. Like it gives, even if it's another 3%, forget about 10 or 20. I'll take 2%. And again, you got to be able to profile the guys with talent who you want to put your time into. That's a big part of it. You know, and I have a lot of help with other people too. I don't want to take a little credit myself, but what we did here with just Long Island people, never reaching out to anybody. I've turned down people from coming here. Man, it's what motivates me too. So I think everybody's on the same page. Like I just had this conversation with Weidman, even with the Dagestani wrestlers. He's like, I think we're fucking tougher than them. What are they talking about? We you know, like, and he was a great wrestler when he was in college, and his MMA wrestling was phenomenal too. So, you know, it's all about mindset,
but it's the same thing. Elliot. They're doing the same thing. Is like they're small. It's Khabib and his crew. Right? It's Khabib and his crew.
That's what makes them good. You see them, they're running together, they're praying together. If you don't think that means something, you don't understand coaching. I'll be honest with you.
Look, of all the mistakes that I've made in my life, going with the big team was probably my biggest.
Without a doubt. Why would you want to go to a cookie cutter gym?
You know,
you're not going to get the attention, right?
No, look, I was the head coach of it. No, for me, being the coach of the big team and trying to run that, with Elevation Fight Team, that was my biggest mistake. It watered me down, and then there's too many cooks in the fucking kitchen.
Yeah.
Right? I don't like how fuck off. Go do it yourself then. Great. Yeah, go do it yourself.
The reason why I love talking to you about that is because you experienced it. We all go through that though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all go through that. Luckily, me and Matt always had a great relationship. So he handled really the ground aspect. I handled the stand-up. So even with me being a coach, it's really due to Matt Serra also. I mean, he's my partner in this, and we really took this thing really pretty far at this point. But it's hard keeping everybody together. And the more people you let in, hey, look, it's like, how about this, Elliot? It's me and you. We're in business together, right? We love each other. We're doing good. You get married and I get married.
Problems.
All of a sudden, you got chirping in your ear, right? Yeah. All of a sudden, our relationship gets strained. Mm-hmm. And that's the issue. So the bigger you get, what do you think's going to happen? You can't even do it with 4 people.
Right.
Right? It's like when Al Quinta started fighting, he got, Ray, you got to be my manager. You're the only guy I trust, and blah, blah, blah. I go, Al, here's the problem. Me and you love each other right now, trainer and fighter, and a great friend. He's one of my closest friends right now, right? So we like each other, right? So I get you a sponsorship deal for 10 grand. Some douchebag comes along and goes, well, I could have got you 20 grand. Now we got a riff for no reason. That's not the space I want to occupy. I want to be here for you as a trainer, make sure everything goes good, and any wacky crap with the managers, I could step in. But that's the issue. You got to keep it simple. That's the other thing, and you experienced that. You don't want 5 guys arguing with it, and then you're going to cause separation.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. So with my end,
yeah,
and I'll never do it again. I have my 2 or 3 people, and that's it. I'll never have more than this.
Who do you have now? Because you have Miranda.
I have Miranda and Drew Dober.
She's awesome. And who?
I have Drew Dober.
Yeah. Two great people.
This is it. I'm done.
I'd rather do that. I have a couple more now because we have a lot of, younger guys in the gym, but I have to really profile who I'm going to go with. And at this point, which I don't even like doing that, but it's between me getting older and just, it's hard to keep the intensity at this stage of the game, but there's still, it's like that old thing. Every time I think I'm getting back out, they're dragging me back in, right? So then you got, I think I'm out. After Aljo, Marab, I'm out. Then you got a new guy, and he's relying on you. You got Frivola saying that, he's asking me to, it's crazy. And I love these guys. I really do. If I don't like you, I'm not in your corner. I swear to God, that's a fact. So you just have to keep it real. And I think you have to keep it small for the way I did it. You know what I mean?
For me as well. I think even when you look at, for example, Javier Mendez, who they have a big gym, AKA.
Yeah.
I think he kept it. When he really started to have big success, he started to keep it small. He only works with Khabib's guys now. And then at the end, he had DC and Rockhold.
Yeah.
And Kane, he had his heavyweight crew. And then he's got this Dagestani crew, but that's it, small is.
And he's he's a real down-to-earth guy. I always love talking to him too. He's one of the few coaches that I'll talk to that where he gives you just a straight shooter from the hip. I think he's probably getting a little big now, believe it or not. He wanted to be, because back in the day, really, he had Koscheck, Swick, somebody else. He had a cruise. Even as gym owners, we always had 3 or 4 guys in the limelight, and then that was it. Then they would get done. And you get 3 or 4 other guys. Then you had DC, Rocco, Kane, right? Always. Yep. And you have to love what he did too is incredible.
Yep.
His resume.
He's on the list too. His
resume is beyond belief, man.
Yeah, he's on the list too. Look, for me, it's I think Greg Jackson did a great job, right? Greg Jackson has multiple champions. I think you're on the list. I think Trevor's probably on the list because he's got Shane Carwin, Gaethje.
Without a doubt.
Shane Carwin, Rose, Gaethje. And I think Javier Mendez is on the list.
100%.
Mike Brown's getting there, but how many champions does Mike Brown have? I don't think he's got.
Well,
I think
the point is this. Look, even when I have 3 champions out of 20 people. They might have a couple of champions out of 200 people. That's a big difference. You want to play a numbers game? I could do that. I don't want to do that, but you can see how it's easier. Even with Craig Jackson, who did he? I'm not getting down on it. But who did he train from the ground up? And again, that I think makes a big difference. Elliot.
I agree with you.
You take these guys when they threw their first punch with you. That's a bond you're never breaking, right? I could tell you a list of guys that wanted to train you that could have been probably fucking champions for sure, but I didn't have the connection, and it was just a little different. I love this Long Island vibe, and I love the way everybody sticks together.
Look, I agree with you wholeheartedly there. Teaching someone from day one of learning that skill,
without a doubt,
is much different than someone coming in. Even let's with the Trevor example, Usman coming in. Usman was already the champ. And no doubt Trevor's a great coach and helped him and helped
without
him
a doubt.
be better.
Trevor, first off, Trevor's unbelievable. I think he's an unsung hero.
I agree.
He's finally getting his credit. But I said it back in the day. Remember they had that you were probably around it, that super team. Remember they had Faraz, Craig Jackson, and they brought in Trevor. Remember they had some weird Danaher would call it
That was never a thing. That was just like the media a little bit.
Like a bullshit thing, right?
Yeah, that was.
Even at that point, I was like,
because I was there.
How is that going to work?
Yeah,
How is that going to work?
We were in Colorado, and we would take trips to the crew. Some of the crew in Colorado, me, Nate, and Cowboy, and sometimes some of the other guys would drive down to Albuquerque and take trips, right? Because I just really got along with Greg. I loved Greg. He made me feel good, when I was fighting.
I think that's the type of guy he is, right?
Yeah.
And I like that type of thing better. I'm trying to do it's more important than the technique, kind of. I swear to God, it really is. You're saying it now, and I believe you.
Yeah, look, either you know what you're doing or you don't.
Right.
And then once you know what you're doing, it's all about the connection with the other person, with the person. And some people work together, and I'm sure you don't work with some people. Like the vibe is not there. And it's like, oh God, I can't stand Serra-Longo, and that's fine. And right, that's great. And maybe they love Duke Rufus. Who fucking knows, right? Just threw a name out there.
Yeah,
Duke's a great coach. He knows what he's doing. Go do your thing. You guys vibe. Great.
Right.
Great.
100%.
So, when did you know that this was what you wanted to do?
I got to tell you, I do think it goes way back, to be honest with you. Even growing up, I was always like a Vince Lombardi fan. I used to love the coaches and just watching like Angelo Dundee. Who's the other guy? Gil Clancy. I mean, they trained people, and I don't know, it was something. When I was like 19, I had a kid from the neighborhood ask me, can I train him for a boxing match? Maybe I was 18. I think I was in St. John's, And I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You know what I mean? But, I was always into martial arts, so they come to me. But so I'm almost saying I'm looking at books. I'm looking at like the Tao of Jeet Kune Do. I mean, it's like great, but we go out to this fight, and he ends up knocking the guy out in the second round. Oh, that's good. People bet on the fight. They gave me like $50 at the time. Whatever. It was like, wow, it's pretty cool. And then like a week later, I was pumping gas, and a guy came up to me and goes, man, could you train me for that next event, like next year? And I'm like, wow, man, this is like the coaches get the accolades. He's like, oh, it was always going to be, I definitely going to make a better coach than a fighter. So it was an easy no-brainer. But I'm going to say, since I was like 24, 25, just training. And I don't know, I had my first kickboxing champ probably at like 25, and a couple of Golden Glove champs, that type of stuff. And then when MMA came around, I was like the only guy around who had done anything. So I was like, matter of I was just happened to be there. And
you were Matt Serra's coach.
Yeah, right. Me and Matt were doing jiu-jitsu together, and I go to him, I go, why don't you try the Thai boxing for conditioning? Because, back then, I don't know if you remember jiu-jitsu. I had this conversation with Mike Pyle, but everything was just jiu-jitsu. You couldn't even mention boxing back then. Everything sucked but jiu-jitsu. So like what Matt,
UFC first came out, after Hoist won the first two UFCs, it was all jiu-jitsu. Everything else was bullshit.
I'm telling you, couldn't mention anything.
Right.
I remember one time telling Matt, you got to start boxing. We got to go to a gym. And Scarola was like, Matt, don't do it. Don't. Like, he was almost panicking. Like, no, just do that foot jab into the takedown. Remember that, like the
Hoist Gracie thing.
Yeah, the Hoist Gracie. But I don't even know where the fuck I'm going with that. But so, when I met Matt, I tried to convince, do the Thai boxing for conditioning. I didn't even say for fighting.
Right.
And then he fell in love with the Thai boxing.
Was he fighting at the time already or no?
No.
Okay, just doing jiu-jitsu.
I think I had, I'd have to really think about that. I think he had like a shoot boxing fight coming up.
Okay.
And like he would have not done anything for it. And I said, I think you should, let's do some, I didn't really know him that well. I was just doing it as like a friend because, we were doing jiu-jitsu together. I said, just do the Thai boxing. Let's just, because I know conditioning wise back then, we're probably in 92, maybe. I don't even know what year it is.
A little later, right? 95?
Well, the UFC came out in 93, right?
Yeah, and when did when did Matt start jiu-jitsu? He got...
No, 93, I think.
He won the Worlds at Brown Belt in 99.
Won the Worlds. Okay, so we were already... Oh, so we're up around 2000. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, somewhere in there. But anyway, 20 years ago. 20-some years ago. Yeah.
Because I just got him doing, but my point was I got him doing the Thai boxing for the conditioning, which there's no better conditioning cardiovascular if you do it the right way. And he fell in love with that. And then when he started fighting, look, he's been in 100 street fights. So he knew, even though he was a jiu-jitsu guy, he knew he needed the other stuff also. And, that's when we started training. Then the rest
and it took off from there, right? Because you guys just worked, and then Matt started sending you his guys, right? And then you just kept going, and there was kind of this Renzo Gracie Long Island connection through Matt Serra.
Yep, 100%. I go with that. And he's better at this. He's better at the timeline than me.
Sure.
I got another 15 years of my brain getting scrambled. So he's good. I'd have to check that out, but we're pretty close, I think. When
you look at your career, and your what would you say your style is of training someone? What are you looking for? What do you give to them? And what's the methodology? Not the X's and O's, right? Like we said, that shit doesn't matter. How do you take a fighter through being a fighter?
Right. Well,
all your guys are day one.
Yeah. First off, and I'll tell you, it's changed. So back in the day, my thing was you got to be able to box and throw leg kicks. You had to have a low line attack with your legs. I really didn't care about, some of the other stuff. But if you had the gift for high kicks, then I encourage you to do it. But so I always liked strong boxing and a Marco Huas type of guy back in the day, decent hands and he could bang your leg. But now, with certain people, I got to let them go their own way. So it's not my way or the highway. I got to look and, all right, this guy's got the gift to do this. This is what we're going to do. And it's kind of like that. So everybody's individual. I try to tailor whatever training around their strengths, like Weidman with the wrestling, just punching your way in. Aljo's pretty well-rounded with everything at this point. And Aljo's a real cerebral guy. So I'm actually learning more from him than he is from me at this point.
Explain that.
Well, because he's not, I might overtrain people back in the day, right? You remember the way the boxing gyms were?
We all overtrained.
Yeah, right. You get knocked.
Yeah, if you flick my chin
in the gym the next day, right?
If you flick my chin these days, I get a headache.
100%.
From sparring too much, from going hard too much. Yeah.
Which was wrong, right? But we see that. So those are the things as a coach I had to really become more aware of, like the CTE, and I don't want to see my guys get hurt, right? So, Aljo's really, I think even for the last fight, I go, forget about the pitch. He's really great at drilling. And because he's so talented, he can control the action enough to where he can get a lot out of drilling. Other guys can't do that.
I think this is the new way. I think drilling is the new way. High intensity drilling. Right. It's the new way to train because the hard sparring, there's just such a risk to it.
Right. So you need the sparring. I still believe some guys, right? That's why I say, so Cerrone comes out and he says he doesn't spar anymore. I'm like, yeah, the guy's got 60 fucking fights. He doesn't have to at this point. Right. So you get a guy with no fights, he thinks he's doing it. That's not good. Right. So you got to have a balance, Elliot, of, you got to make them spar because you don't want them getting banged up in the fight for the first time. So I wouldn't overdo it, but you have to get that. You need the timing and you need just shock treatment. And
in the beginning, you got to see if you're a bitch or not, right? You
100%,
you have to see if you can fight. If you're going to cower off one punch,
exactly,
then you're done, right?
Right.
So, or for me, I had to spar because the sparring got me mentally. I am a little bit of a bitch, Yeah. So the sparring brought the bitch out of me so that the bitch didn't show up in the fight.
Without a doubt. And I think that's good, but again, maybe overdid it, but what you're saying is correct, right? So, but Aljo really verbalizes that different, at the beginning, you got to remember, you're watching Aljo after 8 years or whatever, but I had him boxing, pro boxers and stuff back in the day. Now he's at a point where he understands it, right? He's able to fucking do things that a lot of other people can't do. And he works, he knows how to work. And that's what I mean what I'm learning from is more all right, I get it. You know what I mean? As long as we keep winning, I have no fucking problem with anything.
Sure. What do you want in the future?
That's a tough one. Elliot.
How long do you want to coach, man?
Elliot, I'm not sure I have a long. Elliot, this is horrible. What are you going to ruin my night? What's
No, like how long do you want to coach? Right?
Are you asking me what my 10-year plan is? Yeah, I want to stay alive. If that matters to you. I mean, is that horrible? You know what somebody said the other time? I mean, it's been out there, but I've had a champ in my 40s, my 50s, and my 60s. I'm like, I just told the next guy that's fighting in February, I go, try to get it done before I hit 70 because I might not make it. But it's sad at this point because honestly, Elliot, I feel like I'm 20. I really do. But the reality of it is I'm 64. I mean, how much more? I mean, sure. I think I'm going for a couple of more years now.
You don't have much gray, Ray. You don't have much gray. The hair's black, you know?
And I don't dye my hair, so it's all good. I hope that means something. But yeah, so the clock's ticking. But listen, I think it is keeping me young, and I'm doing it more for that. I think I love the interaction. I had Aljo. We all went to the PFL the other night. You know, some of the younger fights. I think it keeps you young. If I hang out with guys like my own age and everybody's going to the doctor, I'll fucking jump off a bridge at this point. You know, because obviously I have friends my age, but you know, every phone call is your heart's racing at this point. I don't know if that might not make sense to you now.
No, I agree, man. I want to die in the jiu-jitsu school. That's where I want. You know, I want to die on the mat.
Like, I want to die with my focus pads and my focus mitts in my hand. Yeah, I agree with you. That's
I don't want to die.
Keep you going.
Yeah. I don't want to die getting old in a bed. You know,
no, definitely not. That's not happening. Nope.
I want to die on the mat because that's what for me made my life. You know, and made me the human being that I am. You know? I
love it. I agree 100%. This sport. Man, I've had such a good life, traveled the world, and even my wife's got, we just went to Abu Dhabi together, and I took her to Japan, Australia. I mean, those are things that you're never going to get to do, you know?
I say this, my kid, I have a 9-year-old who's very athletic, ball sports, which is definitely the way to go if you can, rather than this fighting shit. So, you know, and he tells me he hates jiu-jitsu, Ray. And I'm like, look, man, buddy, you cannot like it. I'll be okay with you not liking it, but please don't tell me you hate it because you don't have anything in your life without it. Like it pays the bill for the house, the vacations we go on, all of this shit, right? It is from jiu-jitsu. I met your mom at a job that I had bouncing at a bar because of jiu-jitsu. So you can't hate it, buddy. You know? So I feel you.
But he might, you know what you'll find? He'll end up, kids, he'll end up in somebody else's jiu-jitsu school. That's what'll happen. You know what I mean? Just it's like if I had kids and they started doing taekwondo, you know what I mean? Like it's all good. You know, I think you got to let the kids come to those terms on their own. And just try to guide them, like you're saying, but you can't force them to do that. You've seen, too many fathers.
Too much. Yeah.
And then it just, by the time they're 20, they're done with everything.
They hate you.
Then they hate you. I've seen it. I've seen it. It's for real.
Ray, as I know you got to run here, so I always like to ask these 2 questions at the end, and I know you and I have known each other for some years. So like, if I ask you to do a podcast, you're going to say yes. But like when you get offered a lot, like I said, you've been around the sport forever. When people want your time, like how do you say yes to it and no to it? Like why do this podcast? It's not going to bring you any more fame or money or no accolades. So why are you doing what you're doing still? Because it's where it is.
Well, I mean, for you, it's different because you just said we know each other a long time. So this is but for other people, I really try to help them. They say, can you do it? And then I'm 100% doing it. I'm done right now. I think financially I'm good to go. So the more people I help, the better I feel. And that's the way I'm going to do. So for the podcast, there's some little guys that I love doing it because they get such a kick. Look, I don't even know why they get a kick out of it. Like I'm almost confused. Like, dude, I feel like I'm going to ruin you. Like, you're going to get to see what I really sound like. And, it's going to be, I might, it's better maybe to, stay away and have what you think is of me. But
stay on the good side.
Yeah, right. Let's go whatever you think you're seeing on TV or whatever. But so I like doing it for that fact too. There's a lot of young guys starting out. And if that makes their thing a little better or, it makes them, I'm all good for it. That's what I love to use this platform for is really helping people,
Right. 100%. Last question. So obviously you have a gift, and I believe everyone in the world has the gift, and that's a gift. And that's the real point of this podcast, is really giving nuggets for people to how to go out and find their gift, you know? So the last question I like to ask everyone is, what do you think that gift is that you have, that you've been able to give to your students, your athletes, the MMA world in general?
I mean, I think I'm going to say I have the ability to connect with people and make them believe they could do things that to make them believe they could do things that they didn't think they could do. Right. You know what I mean? And that's like what we're talking about. I don't care what school a guy's from. I don't care what part of the world he's from. On any given day, anybody could beat anybody. And I think, I don't know if it was Rogan or Weidman, but somebody said, like, I make people believe, exactly what I said, like they could do things that they didn't think they could, because it's not easy getting guys to fight for the championship. It's just not. And
look, fuck fight for the championship. It's not easy to get a guy to fight.
But have a winning record. It's crazy. So I think the connection and whatever my personality, it leads towards trust, which, I think I'm a man of my word. Without your word, you literally have nothing in this life. So if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I really, really enjoy watching people succeed. And if I have anything to do with it, I can come along for the ride. I'm a happy camper, man. Happy camper.
All right. You've been an inspiration to me as a coach, watching you, I would say just your authenticity, right? You are 100% authentic. And I think it's very rare in the world, right? It's a very, very, very rare that somebody is as authentically them as you are. So that has been an inspiration. It's come out in your fighters. You can see it over generations, right? You have 3 generations, like I said, maybe for you in your 40s and your 50s and your 60s, you got a champion.
Bryce Elliott, stop it.
So, man, thanks for coming on. If someone wants to reach out to you, tell them where they can find you.
Oh, man, my Instagram was hacked, so I have another one, Serra-Longo. I think MMA 9358. I don't know.
Find them on Instagram.
Find me on Instagram, Twitter, whatever. But we'll do this again too. I don't want to rush it off, but
no, it's good, man.
I love what you're doing, and it's not about, like you say, and even for you, if you could reach one person with a message, you're happy, right? I think we're the same guy like that, and that's the way I look at it. That's why I say I don't like when you see guys with some celebrity, they don't want to take a picture. Really, for what, man? I'm confused as to why people would want to take a picture, but I love it. I mean, I don't know. It's a different. I love everything.
I don't know what ultra fame is like Michael Jordan level fame, right? When you can't the house. So I don't want to judge that. Yeah. But look, the level of fame that for example, you or I have, it's not we can't go to the grocery store.
Right.
So,
but I tell you, we're not going to an MMA event. I mean, so we can have a microcosm of what it must be like.
Sure.
And I still love it.
I don't get it. I agree with you. I don't get it.
You know what I mean?
How do you say no? So
anyway. I don't want to say you can't take yourself serious. Come on, it's
we're all going to die. We're all going to end up in the same spot, 6 feet under in some way. Can
we leave death out of this podcast while I'm on? Come on, man.
Hey, man, thanks so much. Thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, let's do it again, man.
We'll do it again as well, guys. As always. Go out in the world. Don't try to be Serra-Longo. Serra-Longo, like I said, is authentically him. If you try to be that man, you will get it wrong. And don't go out in the world and try to be me, because you'll get that wrong too. Go out in the world, be yourself, and find your own power, everyone.
That's it. Be organic.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. I hope you found something useful that you can take and implement into your life. Don't forget to head over to wherever you are listening to this podcast and leave a review. That would be greatly appreciated. Also, go follow me on social media at FireMarshal205 on Instagram. Leave a comment, anything that you would like there. And as always, if you think this would be useful for somebody else that you know for their life, send it their way. That would be greatly appreciated. That's it for this episode, guys. I hope you all have a great day, and you go step into that power so that you can give your purpose to the world.